My fault.
We're not. It was. It's
My
all your fault.
It's terrible.
Couldn't be my fault at all. But I worked through lunch, and I can't believe that you're all still here. Thank you so much.
They weren't
Quick
going
question.
anywhere. Oh yeah, hello.
Do we have our full time?
We can.
I don't want to cheat anybody of their time.
Well, yeah.
We still got the 40 minutes.
We can do what we want.
45 minutes?
Yeah.
I like this part. It's my favorite. So I really want to give you your time.
Liverpool, you've got lots of questions, right? Line up at number 1 over there, number 2 there. We've got 3. Well, no, yeah, we've got 1 and 2. Please get up and get your questions in now. I'm going to go straight to the audience.
Okay.
We'll take as many questions as we can.
Fantastic.
And then when they're and ahhing, I'll just go. So, what was it like being in Expendables 1 and 2? I'm an action film fan.
Are you?
Yeah.
It was very masculine.
I'm not,
The
but I can imagine.
testosterone was just permeating the air at all times. Dolph Lundgren is the Vitruvian Man. He is the perfect human specimen in terms of like proportion or whatever. You know, Leonardo da Vinci did the Vitruvian Man, where the graphic, and it was like, this is how man is supposed to, like this. Is anybody with me?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it was him.
I love the idea that someone's walking around Dolph with a big circle, just holding it in front of them at any given time. Number 1, hello.
Hiya.
Hi.
Hi again. Charisma, firstly, thank you for being so amazing today and yesterday. You're just fab, thank you. But as you know, I've got a 14-year-old daughter, and I try to help her navigate the world and things, but I often think that sometimes if I was to go back to my 14-year-old self, what piece of advice would I give? And I'd like to know, if you could go back to your 14-year-old self, what piece of advice would you give?
Oh, that's such a thought-provoking question.
Yeah.
And I'm just really want to give you a thoughtful response. The first thing that comes to mind is I really don't spend that much time thinking about the past. So I'm going to have to conjure some thoughts here. And initially, I think the first thing would be I was talking with my mama-san, who's backstage now, and I was saying one of the realities of life that I just didn't know when I was younger is nobody knows what the fuck they're doing. Like, nobody's in charge. Everybody is just middle school mentality, but in grown bodies trying to get through. And I really wish that people were able to, or that society allowed for people to realize themselves, and we propagated that, encouraged that, appreciated that, where people could go inward and learn about themselves and their traumas or whatever. I know a lot of people may think that's a victim mentality, and trust me, I'm no victim. But I do believe that in order to be a healed person, we do have to confront things that were very uncomfortable, that prevent us from growing and being our best selves. So if I could say something to that little 14-year-old girl, it would be, the world, when you get out of high school, everybody still is high school. It's just they're smarter at hiding things, and it's just you have to confront your stuff, because hurt people, and you end up carrying that along in your journey. And it would be really fantastic if mental health and healing was as important as a Gucci bag or this look at me on social media and my Greece vacation. You know, like, why aren't we talking about the real shit? Like, let's dig in. And unfortunately, what I realize is confrontation's hard, it's uncomfortable, and people just don't want to do it. And as a result, we are probably in one of the most dangerous times we could possibly have in the world right now. It's dark. There you go. Confront your shit.
That's an amazing answer. Yeah.
Everybody's like, I brought the whole, like, thanks, Debbie Downer.
No, not at all.
Now I need a drink.
You were talking and I was sat there thinking, man, I need to confront some shit. Like, I really was.
Here I am, giving it to you.
Is that your daughter? Does she have a
Meg.
question?
Is this Meg?
Yeah.
Hi, Meg.
Hi.
this is gonna sound really basic next to what my mum.
I can't hear you at all.
just-
I'm like
can you tilt the
practically
mic
deaf.
down?
I'm old.
This is small person problems. This is gonna sound really basic next to my mum's question, but I know that you're a Swiftie. So, like, what's your favorite Taylor Swift song and/or album?
That's impossible. Okay, I have an answer. So Evermore and Folklore were on repeat in 2022, and I was grieving, and I think the song, is it Margaret? Marjorie. So Marjorie, for me, just reminds me, I'm going to get choked up. I'm going to try not to get choked up. Marjorie reminds me that tomorrow's not promised, and that we have to really value relationships over things and stuff. And her talking about all the things that she should have asked her grandmother, like about the grocery list and the recipes and whatever, to keep her memory alive and to just hold on to her a little bit longer. I think that those are I think that song really touches me because I lost my mom. And that it's important to value relationships. My God. Can we have a lighter question? Although it is, what's your favorite Taylor Swift song? Like, of course.
You're setting me off, to be fair. Yeah. Oh,
You
God.
guys, I'm sorry. I guess it's a TED Talk or
I was like,
some
yeah,
sort of
no, it's good. No.
tissues.
No, I like Taylor Swift, and I lost my mum at a really young age. And things like that. It's hard and it hurts, and you do look inside yourself, and them Folklore and Evermore albums are really,
and just, I don't remember the name of the song because I'm a new Swiftie, so I don't have it all categorized and cataloged in its chronological order and what album and what year, and no. But there's that song where she talks about standing still and the ivy growing over her feet. I just think like her lyrics are so compelling and poetic, and I can visualize what she's talking about, and it resonates with me, like in a Wuthering Heights kind of way, which I hate that book, I hate that movie, but I have seen it and I get it. I get like standing on the cliff and the storm and the weather and like jumping and all of that. Like I feel like it takes me back to great books that I don't like, even if I don't like them.
You're 100% right, and lyrically it's amazing, and musically it's amazing, and I do love the deep dive in songs where she introspects, but also I like dancing around my living room to shake it off, and me.
Yeah.
So she covers it all.
She does. She really does. And yesterday I got the highest compliment. Somebody said, I feel like you're in your Reputation era. And I was like, yes. I loved that. I don't know what this era is, but I'm going to embrace it. So anyway, hi.
Hello. For the third time, I will keep it nice and brief. I just wanted to know, what do you think the most important life lessons are that people can take from the character of Cordelia, and if any other characters?
Cordelia.
Sorry for the deep questions.
You guys okay with this? Do you mind if I just go? Okay. Well, in the context of Cordelia?
Or any other character that you've
Well,
played.
I am Cordelia, so she is me, I am her. Where the line is, I do not know. What came first, the chicken or the egg? What would I say was her life lesson?
What do you think that people can take away from the character of Cordelia?
Well, what do you think?
Thank you.
What is something you took away from Cordelia?
Well, I like the fact that Cordelia went from riches to rags to then the evolution of her story in Angel. That really hit hard for me because it's just the evolution. The character didn't just stay like one-dimensional. You got that. You actually become a goddess at the end of the...
Thank you. I think that's really great. That makes me think that for Cordelia, nothing is permanent, right? So you're having a bad day, it's not permanent. You are having a great day, it's not permanent. I think it's sort of living life on life's terms always and as gracefully as you possibly can. And sometimes it's not very graceful, but nothing is permanent. So as we have to think about evolution and embrace change. I think Albert Einstein says, or maybe it's Carl Jung, says I'm paraphrasing, like the mark of an intelligent person is adaptability and the willingness to change. And I think all of us tend to feel safest if we stay the same. And it just ends up making it so we are not our higher selves. And I think for me, and clearly Cordelia physically went to be a higher being, the goal is to always achieve or to aim for our highest selves.
That's a lovely answer, thank you.
Number 1, hello.
Hi. Can I talk about Angel and the episodes in Pylea? They look like a lot of fun. How was it like shooting them?
It was a great time. Did you have a question? Okay.
What about
wait, did you have a specific Pylea question?
Working with Andy Hallett.
How was it working with Andy? A joy.
Yeah.
Just sheer joy.
That's about it.
Giggles.
I think that was it, yeah?
Yeah.
Thank you. Number 2, hello.
Pylea was one of my favorite storylines. That was a really sort of opportunity to see Angel walk in the sun and to be his giddy self, because in real life, he is very giddy. It's like weird. It's weird that this person is playing doom and gloom, which he does have that too, but his nature is to be goofy, which would surprise a lot of people. So that was kind of enjoyable, to see us be able to act out in ways that were not traditionally our characters. So to see him walk in the sun, to see me as a cow, slave, not the pretty princess type, but then she becomes the princess, and boy did she, and fully embrace that. And I think that storyline actually, surprisingly, became a very critically acclaimed storyline for my character. In fact, I remember being written up in USA Today in Critics' Corner saying that I was a formidable comedic actress. And that was just the highest compliment to me, because going into other auditions, before I discovered I was funny or on Angel, I was told by casting directors, or my agents were told, and then they relayed it to me, that she's just not funny. But Joss and David Greenwald and Marty Noxon and Tim Minear and all of those people knew different, and they wrote to those strengths. And so then it was kind of poetic justice to kind of like one more time for people to underestimate you or try to pinpoint you or just say you look a certain way, so then you are that way, is just a metaphor for everything else that we've been talking about today. It's just breaking barriers, overcoming obstacles, confronting your demons, reaching for your full potential. So it was a really enjoyable storyline to do all of that for all of us. Why are you looking at me like that?
I know, honestly, these are the best answers I've ever had at any of these. They're so in-depth. I'm just like a little bit in awe.
Oh, thank you.
Sometimes people just go, yeah, it was all right. You've seen how some of these are. It's amazing.
Being me. Okay. Hi.
Number 2.
Hi, Miss Carpenter. I'm like a massive Buffy and Angel fan. And I know the casts on Buffy and Angel are very different. They're both lovely people, but they're both very different groups. So I have to ask, what group was your favourite to work on when you were working on Buffy? Did you prefer that cast, or did you prefer working with the cast on Angel?
So Angel mainly because I personally had a lot more to do, and I think it was a very male-dominated set, and that there were pros and cons to that. So when you have a female lead, they understand you need a makeup touch-up, or you don't want to wear your heels, so you're going to wear your Uggs. Oh, we're going to see feet, so you got to take the time to put your heels back on. So there's a tolerance on set that maybe on the Angel set there wouldn't be, because it's hurry up. And, I remember vividly so many times our UPM would say, or our first AD would say, I'm dying on the vine, meaning you're a raisin in the sun, like hurry up, because you're getting your touch up, whatever. And I'm like the only girl on set, except for me and Scripty. So there were like pros and cons to both, but I tend to gravitate towards a more intimate setting. I'm a more, I am social, I am outgoing, but I relate better in smaller groups. I feel more comfortable. Yeah.
Thank you.
Number 1.
Hi, Charisma.
Hi.
Just a quick one. What are your best memories of season 1 to 3 of Buffy the Vampire Slayer? Which episode did you enjoy the most out of season 1 to 3?
Okay. I'm going to say my best memory is actually staking my first vampire in Graduation, season 3, the last episode. That was amazing. I loved the Halloween episode because it was just so outrageous and crazy and bonkers. And I loved Willow wearing that skimpy outfit. And I think for her personally, Allison, she was really uncomfortable doing that. So it just kind of pushed us to kind of do things that we don't normally do. What else? I loved working with on Homecoming with, I think her name is Clara Duvall. She's very famous actor and now director. She was incredible. In Invisible Girl. It wasn't Homecoming. It was Invisible Girl. She was incredible. Working with John Ritter was a highlight, even though I don't really remember having any scenes with him, but I just remember him being in robot garb and makeup and being like eating joyfully at the cafeteria. It was just like oh my God, Three's Company, John Ritter, he's in robot eating, I don't know, bangers and mash, whatever. It was interesting. Working with Seth was always fun. He's just a straight man. I remember talking a lot about his character, the wolf, that he turned into the werewolf, and we would just talk about how sometimes he just seemed like a somewhat scary possum. Like it was just, is it scary? Is it not scary? It's just, I don't know. I remember Kobe Bryant coming to set once to visit Sarah. There's just the opportunities. It's just what I do. This business is such a circus. It's so crazy. It's just crazy what I do and what I see and who I'm around and who I interface with. And it's just, this is my life. Sometimes I just can't believe it. It's just bizarre.
Thank you very much.
Your question?
2.
Hi there, sorry, massive fan. I was wondering, Cordelia had probably one of the best character arcs of all of the characters in Buffy and Angel. Were there any kind of character ideas you might have had that got left on the cutting room floor that you wish could have been included? Or were there any kind of main character points throughout the shows that you wish could have been done slightly differently?
Well, I think we know the answer to the second one. That I stay alive. That'd be good. And then maybe season 4 never happened at all. Let's start there. And in terms of character plot points, that's a great question because I was such a neophyte. I was such a baby going into this. Even though I was in my 20s and I was probably the oldest of the cast, I had not been doing this my whole life like maybe some of the others had. So I wasn't thinking about what I'd like to see my character do. And also I felt like it wasn't my place and how dare I? So I felt too the people's hands in which those story and plot points were in knew what they were doing, and I didn't really need to be a part of the peanut gallery. Like, I don't need that. I mean, I do remember being a little upset that I was pulling Xander into closets trying to make out. I'm like, what's going on? Is she just a slut? Like, and this is before slut shaming was a thing, but I really just felt defensive for my character. Like, what are you doing? You're making her pithy. You're making her scream loud. She never learns from being the damsel in distress. Now she's like horny all the time. Like, who is this girl? And can we do more, and then I remember kind of being defensive for Cordelia in that moment in time, and Greenwald and Joss were listening, patiently listening, probably inside, closing their eyes and rolling their eyes so hard their eyeball tendons were sprained. But they were just kind of saying, but this is why America loves you. And I'm like, oh, America loves me? Oh, okay, that's fine. Do as you do.
That's brilliant, thank you.
Yeah.
Tying that back into the first question we got asked about advice for your 14-year-old self, you said you didn't feel like it was your place to interfere with the direction. Do you think, in context of knowing what you know now, you would want to speak out more?
No, I mean, at that time, I knew my place in that sense, because I was a neophyte to the business. This was my first real long-term series. I needed to listen and learn. It wasn't my place to question, and I wasn't particularly creative like I am today. Like, I wasn't thinking like that. I was surviving. I was on set just trying to not fuck up my lines. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't have the bandwidth or the mental capital to spend daydreaming about plot points I'd love to see Cordelia do. And I think that served me well at the time. I mean, if I were to be a part of a reboot, which is not going to happen, don't worry. I'm not trying to lead you on and make you think that it's a possibility. It's not. I think the people that are most in the position to resume those roles have long storied been telling you that. So I'm not breaking your hearts, I hope. But the reality is that everything was as it was meant to be, I believe.
Yes. Number one.
Hi, you kind of answered the question a little bit, but I was wondering about when you first started doing Cordelia, did you see the potential in the character, that the development could have reached the point that it did?
Again, I was surviving the day. I literally was just trying to do my job. This is how small it was. Can you please stop touching your hair? I'm touching my hair? Yes, please stop tucking your ears because we have a continuity problem. Oh, okay. And then you go to your mark. Can you please hit your mark? I'm not hitting my mark? No, you're not hitting your mark. Can you put a sandbag there? Because I don't know where my mark is. I don't know where my light is. I didn't know, I was touching my hair. I didn't know, you have all of these idiosyncrasies as a human being that when you're on camera, you have to, even though you're nervous, table. I was trying to survive just that, hitting my mark, not touching my hair, getting my lines out right. That's where I was. I was just a baby. So this was a very big learning curve for me.
Thank you very much.
Hello. I was just wondering, over the course of Buffy and Angel, was there any characters that you come across that you thought, wow, they'd be great to play, other than Cordelia, and why?
Not really, but I kind of feel like Spike is Cordelia just with platinum blonde hair and a trench coat. And an English accent.
Cool. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Ethan. I was just going to say my mum's a big fan of you, everything she loves about Buffy the Vampire right there, haha. Anyways, so if you had one animal to be, what animal could you be?
A lion.
Really? Is that it? Here's another one. What's your favorite color?
Sorry, what?
What's your favorite color?
Color.
Yeah.
Green.
Cool. Bye.
Thank you.
I'm neurodivergent, and a lot of people speculate that potentially Cordelia was a neurodivergent character, either ADHD or autism. Obviously, it presents differently in women, and we didn't know a lot certainly when Buffy first came out compared to what we do now. When you look back at how Cordelia is, some of her traits and things like that, do you identify that maybe she did have any neurodivergent traits?
Maybe. Or maybe she just was a truth teller, I don't know. I guess I've never thought about that.
Yeah, quite a lot of the neurodivergent communities, we all sort of often look at Cordelia as having some of those traits. And maybe she was a little bit misunderstood. You know, sometimes Cordelia was thought of as a mean girl and things like that, but actually, you know, potentially she was neurodivergent.
I mean, so here's the thing. Maybe, but I don't really... I think that's a very complicated answer because a couple of things. We in society really want to label everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know that that really serves a greater good for all, but I think it's also really important to have acknowledgement that this is very real for a lot of people. So how do we have compassion for people that are different? Do we need to label them? Or can we just
let them
be
be
empathetic people and just let people live, let people live. You know, do we really need to do, why do we need to do that? Does it help? Does it not help? And I don't know. I'm not a scholar. I haven't given this a great deal of thought. I have a microphone in my hand. I shouldn't always. So, you know, I don't want to offend, but I don't know what the answer is. I mean, it's quite possibly she's just her, whether that makes her neurodivergent because she's a truth teller, or because, and eventually becomes a soothsayer. But, you know, I don't, does it matter? Does it matter?
Fair point, yeah.
You know, does it matter? We're all misunderstood and we're all a villain in somebody's story, right?
A lot of Buffy fans from a lot of different backgrounds. Do you find, and certainly with the audience today, do you find when you're at conventions or you're meeting fans, it's sort of like a confessional for some of them, or they'll spill their guts to you and give you their stories and share information? Is that like a heavy burden sometimes, or do you appreciate the honesty? And
Oh my God, I can't even tell you. I mean, it's very difficult to give each person their due because of the sheer volume, like at this particular show, and this show in particular, that all deserve. I have a company called mycon.live. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Twitter. I don't do Twitter or X, just because him. But I am on Instagram, and I started a company as a result of really having a profound appreciation for this fandom and how I wish to continue that connection in a really authentic, pocketbook-friendly kind of way, because it's changed me. It's changed my life. And I feel, no, I'm not a neurosurgeon, and I am not, you know, curing cancer here. But the pandemic taught us all something. We all need to just get through. We all have our comfort needs, you know, what soothes us at a very difficult time. And I have that myself, you know. I love Fleabag. I love Sex and the City. I mean, it doesn't hold up today, but it's still fun. It's a fun romp, whatever. Not everything has to be PC all the time, you know. And not everything holds up, you know. I just feel that connecting with this fandom, honoring, you know, I'm going to get emotional, honoring you is my purpose.
You asked me earlier, like, why are you looking at me like that? That's why. Because I think it's up, which is getting all of us. Yeah. I'm gonna.
I mean, I'm usually funny. I promise. Usually I'm funny. I mean, they tell me I'm funny, but maybe I'm not. I don't know. I'm just, hello. We're just having a chat.
We're having a moment on this Liverpool Sunday, and I appreciate you, Liverpool. Thank you. I'm going to move to question one before we get any more. Yes.
Hi. You've got amazing chemistry with James. How is it reuniting with him, one on Supernatural and then two recording Slayers? Because you had some really good sort of scenes in Slayers.
Right?
Yeah.
Didn't it seem like we were going in a direction?
Yeah, that we wanted you to go in.
Didn't it? How fun would that have been? Fuck. Why did they do that? You know, it was wild recording Slayers. What a joyful experience. My God. And it was so cool. We were in LA. We were in this large recording room. And James and I were at 90s Con in Connecticut, got on a plane Sunday night. We were meant to record on Monday, and I was throwing up my guts on the plane. I caught some kind of bug, and it just hit me on the plane. It was awful. It wasn't pretty. And I land up and I go to my girlfriend's house because she's my best friend and I was going to stay with her. And I show up puking and all this stuff. And she's like, oh my God, get away from me. I'm like, where's your bed? You know, and I couldn't work on Monday. And then it turned out he was sick also. He didn't have COVID, but he had something else, like his throat was ruined. And we were there to record, and we could have never predicted that that was going to happen. So he's in one booth, I'm in another booth, and everybody else is in the room, but we're all in the same room, if that makes sense. So we're recording this scene, and the scene is we're pulling up to a hospital. And my mom, as I said before, recently passed. It feels like it's yesterday, even though it'll be 2 years soon. And just even talking about hospitals freaks me out. So we're having this scene, and I'm getting verklempt. And you can kind of, I don't know if they went with that take or not, but I got, really teary-eyed. And then pivot to, are you flirting with me? Some version of that, right? And it was just discovering Cordelia as this world-weary person that's also sassy, that's also tender. It was really challenging. I'm like, who is she? I had a meeting with the creators, Amber Benson, bless her, and Christopher Golden. I love. What a mensch. And I'm going to them and I'm like, I just don't know who Cordelia is anymore. I just don't feel like I'm delivering. I don't feel like I'm doing this right. I don't know. I thought I would be able to get on the bike. And they're like, what are you talking about? I'm like, I don't know. is this right? They're like, yes, it's right. And I think the scenes with Indira too were really special. But to your credit, or to your question about James, I'm sick of his face doing cons with him in that sense. Like, we do cons together a lot. He's like my work husband in a sense. So I'm kind of sick of him in that sense. But as actors working to him, we've never really got to do that. So I love watching him work, and I loved our chemistry, and I loved the way they were. I don't know that it was intended to go that way. It just was happening. And I'm looking at him, and when we're shooting and he's in the booth, he had the light over top. It wasn't intentional at all. It was a bit dark. The light was beaming down on him, so all I saw was his face, and I was on the other side, same. And it was just kind of surreal. Like, we're having this intimate conversation in the car, and I'm like, wait a minute. Is Cordelia and Spike on? Is this going to happen? Did you feel that? Did you feel that? Did you see that? Like, we were all kind of talking about it. I don't know that it was planned. And that's kind of the magic of what I do, because, God, I love it. I love it so much when I get to do that, when I get to, discover something that wasn't on the page necessarily, but the chemistry happens, and you're like, oh, that's magic. And I had that with the character Indira as well. And that's why they changed the name of the show to Slayers, because that was the underlying story. And the next season, Cordelia was going to narrate, but then Disney pulled the plug, sadly. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. It's wonderful.
Thank
you. Awesome questions, you guys. So great. Thank you.
Hi, it's been lovely meeting you today.
Thank you.
I just want to know, was there a particular scene from Buffy or Angel where it took longer to tape because you all fell about laughing in hysterics? Is there anything that sticks out?
I mean, that happened a lot. I can't even tell you one time because it was pretty regular. I mean, we were working, I know for me, I never worked less than 16 hours. So, and the why I say 16 is because you shoot for 14, but you're in hair and makeup for 2. So it's 16-hour days every day, minimum. So if you had special effects or stunts, forget about it. Your day is done. What's the question?
If there was ever a moment in particular in your head of a scene where you all just fell apart laughing.
Falling out. So you're giddy. Yeah. Basically what I'm trying to tell you is you're punch drunk. You're so freaking tired. And you end up saying something, or you'll have to do some like spell or talk or exposition or say a really hard demon name or whatever. And you're like, what did I just say? You know, or you're just looking at your scene partner and you're just so... You know, you just spit take and I don't know, you get the giggles because you're just silly and, you know, yeah. I mean, I can't think of during Spin the Bottle, I think we were all on set together the most, I think, on that episode. And with Andy there and all of us, like, who's always funny. And always, he would just say, oh, balls. And every time he would say, oh, balls, like in this exasperated way, and the eye roll and the hand and like just the whole way, his whole way of being, I just would die laughing. I mean, who says that? What like person in 2020 or sorry, in the 2000s, in the early aughts, it's like he was from another dimension, literally. Like, oh, balls. What are you, in the 50s? Are you Lorne? You know, it's just, it's clever and funny and, you know, I don't know. Yeah.
Oh, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Hi, it's good to see you again, Charisma. Cordelia and Doyle spent such a short amount of time together, but it's like you spent seasons together. The chemistry was so good between you.
With who?
With Doyle. Glenn. How was your time working with Glenn on set?
That man had more talent in his pinky than I think anybody I've ever worked with in my life. He kept everything so fresh. He was an acute listener. He was skillful. And it was natural for him. You know, I remember I was actually on the set of What's Eating Gilbert Grape with Leonardo DiCaprio once. And it's a long story how I ended up on that set. But I got on that set. Do you want me to tell you? Yeah. We only have 4 minutes.
No, we've got time.
Okay, so the producer is a guy named David Madelon of What's Eating Gilbert Grape, and along with Mayor Tepper, these two business partners. They produced What's Eating Gilbert Grape with Johnny Depp, Juliette Lewis, and Leonardo DiCaprio, who plays, would you say neurodivergent, or would you say mentally challenged? I'm not sure what his affliction was necessarily, or affliction, that sounds wrong. I'm messing up. But anyway, I remember being on set with him, and we're in Malibu. Oh, why I got there. Why I got there was, I happened to be at Arnim Milchan's house, which is a whole other set of stories, like why I'm at Arnim Milchan's house in Malibu, right? With these huge movie producers. I was in acting class. I didn't even have a car. I was going to school on Lancashire. My mom was paying my $150 a month acting fee with Robert Carnegie. Jeff Goldblum was on the board of that Playhouse West, which also has an East Coast, Playhouse East. So I am basically a hostess at Tony Roma's in acting class in the Valley, and I didn't have a car. But my boyfriend was a former Davis Cup junior champion. So he worked in finance, but there were a lot of complications, so he ended up teaching tennis to get by. And he ends up getting Terry Semel, the head of Warner Brothers, as a client. And from Terry Semel comes Arnim Milchan. And from Arnim Milchan comes Mayor Tepper. And from them comes all these different people. So Arnim, would invite Julio and myself out to his home occasionally, like pretty much every Saturday during the summer in Malibu. This place, like cuckoo bananas. Gorgeous. So we're at lunch, we're out at the beach, and David Madelon is in his swim trunks and his shirt. And in his shirt pocket was a hamsa, a charm, a hand. He lost it in the sand. And I am really good at finding things. Really good. And I said, I'm going to find your hamsa. He gave up. He goes, it's impossible. It's in the sand. I go, nope, I'm going to find it. And I fucking found it. In the sand. I shit you not. And I walk in the house and I hand it to him and he burst in tears. He's like, how did you do that? And I'm like, I don't give up. And he's like, oh my God, I don't even know what to say. Like, my sister gave this to me. I was so heartbroken. I thought it was hopeless. And I was like, it's my pleasure. I'm glad I was able to find it for you. So as a thank you, he sent me this fabulous bottle of champagne. And now I've been hooked on champagne for the rest of my life because of that. And it's a flowery bottle. I don't even know the name of it, but it's fancy. And he gave me a business card that said, come to the set anytime you like. So I went to the set when they did reshoots. They had to do all these reshoots because of a hair issue. So I'm on the set in the grass in the Malibu hills with Leonardo DiCaprio, sitting crisscross applesauce, picking blades of grass and sucking the milk out of the blade of grass. And we're just shooting the shit. And he's super young at this point, much younger than me. And he's contemplating whether or not he should leave his agency to go to CAA, which is like the biggest talent agency in the world. And we're like talking about it. And then Johnny Depp is sitting next to me on the other side and his makeup artist standing by. And he makes fun of him. I have a mole on my knee. And Johnny's making some joke about my knee, like a fly landed on my leg or whatever. And I'm like, well, you really should do something about your teeth. And, and he loved that because in What's Eating Gilbert Grape, he took his caps off because he has really fucked up teeth. And so that was part of the character. But anyway, so we're all just sitting around. And it was just like one of those moments in my life that I'm just like, holy shit. I'm on a major motion picture film with some of the biggest stars in the world because I found this Hamsa. And I don't know why I'm telling you this story. Why am I telling you this story? What was the reason of me telling you this story? You're not sure either.
I'm not too sure.
Is it okay that I told the story? It was an incredible story. I mean, a moment for me. What was the point? Does anybody remember why I brought this up? Glenn! What the fuck? Oh, talent! Everybody said Leonardo DiCaprio was one of the most talented actors because he could go from, even on True Romance that he did with Claire Danes, not True Romance, Romeo and Juliet. Thank you. And he just had that ability to snap into character. He could be blah, 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 action and be like in this full character. And Glenn Quinn was like that also, where he could just be talking about whatever right up to, and I'm the type of person like, would you please shut up? I can't even hear myself think. Please don't talk. I got to get my lines right. What is, like this. And everybody else is just, there's just some people that have that thing that they can just turn it on and turn it off. And I don't have it. I don't have it. But working with him was such a masterclass in kind of de-investing a little bit, being relaxing and trusting your skills and your talent. And I just was so always white knuckling it, and he helped me kind of realize that, I guess. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, that was brilliant. Thank you.
That
Love the
was
story
a really
too.
long way around the bend. Okay. One guy is left. What you wanna?
Is there time?
We're gonna make time.
Okay, thank you. It's just about Audible
I was late.
Slayers. When Chris and Amber came to you and told you the idea, what was your reaction to you being a Slayer, and were you nervous about being Cordelia?
So, getting involved with Cordelia again was a bittersweet feeling. I was like not sure, and I was like, does any of the money go into his pocket? Am I I don't know. I had to wrap my brain around it. I had to also realize more than one person went into the making of that show. And if it helps employ more people, and it does help me, and it keeps my insurance because I have a kid and I'm getting older, and it's a brutal business. And I had to wrap my brain around a lot of things before I could say yes. But ultimately it was like, how can I say no to her because of who she is how her creative mind works. I have tremendous respect for her in that regard. And just her nature as a person, just how tender she is and how thoughtful she is and how very adamant she was about creating a safe space for these characters to come back together again and to be able to have that chemistry that we were touching on earlier today. So it was scary at first. Then I went through some neuroses about, like, am I doing it right? And then I let go, and I was able to just be safe, feel safe. And I think we made some magic. I think it was really special, and it's just unfortunate we don't get to continue. And I think that's all of my time. I could do this all day. Thank you so much.